I'm here with High off of a reverse, fresh off of a reverse sweep by Cloud9 against Team Liquid. Hi, I mean, I've asked this question, kind of a generic question, but it's always worth asking. Like, how did you guys maintain the composure after, 2 games down, especially because you've had a rough split?
Right. So imagine this. You're in a race, right? We're versus Team Liquid. We started off 0-2, so you're like 10 meters behind the start line. Does that mean like you just give up? No, because like you see the person 10 meters ahead of you, right? So all you got to do is run a little bit faster and a little bit harder, and you can catch up to them. And when you catch up, then you're like, oh, nice, we caught up. Let's do this. And it gives you like energy to like keep going forward and forward. So when you're behind and you start winning, that starts giving you a lot of momentum because you're like, hey, we can actually do this. So you have to finish what you start, and you have to try your hardest no matter what.
So that was what motivated you guys to get that 3-kill at the very beginning of Game 5, I assume. That was that at that point where you're like, okay, we're done. Because I know that's generally in North American scrims, at least when people say remake and they just remake the game.
That definitely would have been a remake in a scrim, just because like at that point they should lose the game unless we do something incredibly bad or our team comp is just like the worst thing in the world. So when that happened, we kept our calm. We were a little bit happy, to be fair, but keep your calm, do things smart, and wait for the game to progress on as you have a giant advantage. And as long as you don't throw that advantage, you should be good.
It did feel like TL was starting to kind of claw their way back. Like, people expected to be kind of done, and then they seemed like Quaz started trying to come back and all that kind of stuff. Were you guys like, oh, what is happening? Or was you just like, oh, no problem, we still have an advantage?
Well, they were clawing their way back by killing me just because they couldn't kill top since we were freezing that, and they couldn't kill bottom since we also had pressuring. They couldn't kill bot, basically. So the only one they could kill was me. And I let myself get killed by them. I was just in places I shouldn't have been, like doing things I shouldn't be doing. So they were clawing their way back a little bit, but Balls was like 4 levels over their top laner. There's like nothing they can do at that point. As long as like we group together, do objectives together, we should win every single team fight just because of the massive level advantage we have over them.
Now, I know that one of the Japanese teams, was it Detonation?
Yeah, I think it's Rabbit 5. Yeah, it's FM. There's 2 FM teams. Or Detonation teams. One's Rabbit 5 and the other's like Focus Me or something. I don't know which one's here. One of them's here though.
And well, evidently you were scrimming against one of them at least a little bit. What? No. Okay. We'll talk more about that the next time we talk, because then we'll have some idea of what's been going on there. Now, I am somewhat curious about your thoughts for the TSM and TIP game tomorrow. Do you have a prediction on who you'll face? I mean, TSM's the favorite, right?
Yeah, so TSM should win this game in the sense of they're their favorite team to win. It's probably like in their favor at least 60-40, but that doesn't mean TIP can't win, right? So when there's a chance for them to win, they can do it. So if they start the game going well, like 1-0, 2-0 start or something like that, if they can get that, then they can probably use that momentum to like look to swing it forward. But if TSM controls the pace of the set from the beginning, it'll be kind of bad. But I expect TSM to win. I mean, most people do, and it'd be an upset if TIP did win. Although, if they win, I wouldn't be opposed to them winning, because it'd be fun to play against a different team in the finals, since it's been TSM the last 3 splits.
That was going to be my next question. As you say, you wouldn't be opposed. Would you prefer one of the teams over the other? Would you prefer TIP just because you're like, hey, there's another team for us to play?
Well, we went 1-1 against TSM and TIP this split, so I don't know if we're necessarily stronger than either of those teams. And depending on how the games tomorrow go, we get to see which team's stronger or weaker. So we obviously want the weaker team, whatever team that is. If TSM's the weaker team, give us them. If TIP's the weaker team, give us them. I just want the easiest way to win.
But didn't you just say that whoever wins tomorrow is a stronger team, so there's no way for you to get the weaker team?
Well, there's luck that happens, right? Okay. If they get lucky, like say, for example, so Rush is like a Lee Sin player, right? And if they give it to Lee Sin, and like TSM gets cocky, like Lee Sin somehow dumps on them, but they're like, or Santorin's like, oh, I got this, dude, don't worry. Then like he gets Lee Sin all 3 games and just wins. Then that doesn't necessarily mean they're better. That just means TSM made a mistake. Yeah. And if they ban TS or Lee Sin and they go 3-0, then I don't know. Some team can be better depending on pick and ban or like the day. Yeah.
And also, there's kind of like, I mean, part of the reason I asked this is because there's kind of like a rock paper scissors thing oftentimes, where like, you might be stronger against TIP's stronger than TSM stronger than you kind of deal. So that being said, you still either one of the teams that you'd prefer?
Well, no, not really. At the current moment, I think we'd lose to both of the teams. So like regardless of what team we get, we'd probably lose. But we're looking to fix that because we took second last time. I don't want that again.
I interviewed your father just before this, which will be posted up. This is, I guess, his first time ever coming to see you play. Was there any element of that here today where you were playing and you knew you were playing in front of your dad?
Right. So I don't know if my dad actually understands the game. I'm sure he knows like who's winning and losing because like my brother was sitting next to him. But we were 0-2, right? I'm just thinking in my head, dude, it's gonna be so depressing to see my dad after this if I just get 0-3'd. So like when we started winning, I felt much better, and then we won. It made my meeting with him like much better than losing, obviously, because like he's happy that we won instead of like sad that we lost. So I'm happy we won by like a lot, and I think he's coming next week too. And also I want to see that interview. Would you ask him?
I tried to get him to tell an embarrassing story about you, and he didn't. He held up. He was like, oh no, he just appreciates all his fans. He's a really good guy. Blah blah blah. Your dad represented you well. Yeah, it was charming.
You should interview my brother if you want some embarrassing story. That guy was a whatever. He's an asshole when he was younger, because like kids do stupid things, right? And he was like an older brother to me, and obviously he's my older brother. And then we have another brother. So like when you're your youngest brother, you're gonna get picked on by them a little bit. And he's got some interesting stories if you ever interview him.
Do you have an embarrassing story about him that you can tell that would later allow me to entice him to tell an embarrassing story about you in an interview?
I would if my memory didn't suck so much. I literally don't remember like anything ever. My memory is the worst thing ever. So I'm sure there's been an embarrassing thing, but I have no idea.
You're like, how do I play this champion again? I picked him because Charlie said I should, and then do I rift walk? Like, how does this? Yeah, struggle. I only have a short time with you because literally all of the rest of your team left, and you have to do every single interview in future today. Do you have anything that you want to say to all your fans out there?
For the ones that still believed in us when we were 0-2, thank you. I felt your energy. I swear, it was like a spirit bomb kind of thing. You know, people still believing in us, and like we use that energy to like win. And we appreciate all the fans that we have that are sticking through thick and thin with us, even though I don't know. I'm really tired. I'm hungry. But that's all I got right now, Travis. Thanks for the interview. Thanks to all the fans that support us, and we should get some food.
OnGamers.com.